Hello, welcome. Join me for a 4-hour trip on board this Axopar 37 east on the south coast of the UK. Can't wait to take you with me. Let's go. Before we set off, let's just have a quicker look over what boat we're taking. We're going on an Axopar 37 with the twin V8 300s on the back. She's a cross cabin and it's pretty chilly here this morning, and I'm pleased to say she's got heating. So if I just jump in, I've just turned the batteries on. So the battery switches on these are just underneath the helm. So you've got these little sliders, they're all turned on. And by doing that, we've now got all the screens have come to life. So we're just going to accept the acceptance on there. And the first thing to do is to trim the engines in. So if I just put the ignitions on to position 1, I can now put those engines down. So you can see if I push the button on the end of the throttles here, I'm actually putting both engines in at the same time. One always goes a little bit quicker than the other, but that's always the same, marginal. And now we've got our Mercury system here firing up. So I'm just going to wait for that to come to life, and then I'm going to get the engines fired up. But first things first, let's get this heating on. So we've got a Webasto controller down here. I'm going to push that button there. That's going to fire into life, and let's get some heat on. So yeah, let's accept that. Let's go. Let's go. Let's set the time, and that will start wearing away now. So with Mercury systems come on now, you can see we've got this. Remind me later. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to fire each engine at a time. It's got 2 keys here. Port engine, starboard engine, and what that will then do is this system here will scan it, and you can see here it's saying system OK, so it's checked oil temperature, oil level, that type of thing in that process. So all good to go. Let those warm up for a minute, and then we'll go and get a quick coffee, I think, before we go. Got some supplies in my bag over here. We need to obviously get life jackets on, and then we'll head out to sea. The entrance to the marina is just over here, so we'll head out there and then we'll set our course on the plotters. I can actually scan these round now to put onto charts. Oh, push too many buttons. Here, chart, and then you'll see then the chart will kick into life, and we can start looking at our course to head east towards Southampton. So you can see there we're in Torquay. So 4-hour trip-ish, depending on conditions, but we've got plenty of fuel. We fueled up yesterday, so we'll start hitting the road or the water very soon. First check-in of the trip. So we are about to leave Torquay Harbour. So we've got the fenders in, Mark's at the helm, and we're just about to head through the entrance here. One of the great features of Torquay Marina is you're straight out to sea. So we've come from the berth, which is just over there. We've just motored out, taken the fenders in, and here we're at sea. So we're looking now due west, so obviously that's due east. So we've got to turn around the pier here, around Holden Pier, and then we're going to start heading out towards the sea, the open sea. So beautiful morning, really clear skies. Wind today, the forecast is really on our side, so we've actually got a slight westerly, so hopefully by the time we get out there it'll be behind us. But you can see Berry Head in the distance. If you fly in and out of the southwest, often the airplanes will route over the top of Berry Head, because that is a beacon up there, and there's actually a seal just over there. You probably can't see it. There's a seal, and then we're good, like you say, we're heading west. So beautiful morning. We're going to check in. What my idea is we're going to try and check in every half an hour. So what I'll do is, this will be our first half hour, so we'll just start picking up the speed. So I'll document a bit of that, and then I'll check in another half an hour when we'll be out in Lyme Bay, another half an hour hopefully at Portland, that type of thing. So hopefully we'll be able to record the journey for you. We'll just go back now. It's a bit icy on the deck here, so just be a bit careful. Mark's up here on the helm. So you can see we've got the screens now set up both in chart, and at the moment we've got the option for radar, but I'll go probably jump in on that port side of Mark and we'll get going. We are now underway. We're out towards Lyme Bay and we're leaving Tor Bay behind. So behind me over here we've got Teignmouth, Exmouth is just over there, and then we've got Torquay in our rear window. Bit of a swell out here, huge container ship over on our starboard side. Sometimes a lot of pilot changes happen down here in the West Country, and sometimes you'll get the big container ships there waiting for orders or waiting for access up towards Southampton, but on the whole there's very little commercial shipping down here, which is nice. So you can see here we're just doing 24 knots. We have got a bit of an annoying chop on that port beam. So with a boat, people often ask how rough can the boat go out in. Well, a lot of that depends on the direction of the weather. So you can see here we've got the waves coming towards us on that port bow there, just at a slight angle. And that's quite annoying because the boat isn't going straightly into them, isn't going with them, which is the ideal conditions. So we have to keep an eye on it. It won't stop us from proceeding, but we may have to just knock the speed down a little bit. But the conditions can change. So on this type of trip where you've got such a long way to go, the conditions can change. There's lots of reasons for that. The wind can change, the tide can change, but also your direction of travel can change. So it might be that if you look at a map, we might now be going in one direction, where when we get to Portland Bill, we have to turn slightly to port.
We'll also get more cover.
And we'll get more cover from the land then as well. So it will probably have this interim stage where we're going across Lyme Bay. We're actually running on autopilot here. This boat's got the JPO joystick system, which incorporates a autopilot system. So Mark's put a waypoint in off Portland. We can see here we've got time to go. Time to distance is 1 hour 36. So that's the time it's going to take us to get to that waypoint. So I think what I'll do is I will check out, I'll enjoy my coffee while we're getting bounced around, and I will check in with you in 30 minutes time and let you know how we're getting on. I'll set an alarm on my phone so I don't forget. So keep watching. Got some dolphins here on our starboard side. Look at that. Oh my God, they're having a whale of a time. Look at that. Awesome. Lucky things, eh? They're probably gone underneath us now. Sorry, quick, we had to be quick there on the GoPro to try and get a dolphin. Videoing dolphins is always very hard. So I've broken my rule of my half-hour update, but we can see now we've got the radar running. We're now just south of Exmouth, but we've got lots of fishing boats out trawling, so we just had to reroute round one, and we've got another one ahead. I guess that's probably why the porpoises or dolphins are here having their breakfast. In fact, there's loads more up here on the port side. Just bring this door open. Hopefully you can still, hopefully they might jump. You've got to just film the whole time, just try and hope you see them, because they obviously, you don't know what they're going to do. I think they're porpoises rather than dolphins, but lovely to see, very lucky. Shut the door again, back into tranquility. Quick update on what these Axopars are like at sea. So you can see here we've got great visibility. That inverted windscreen really does give you fantastic visibility. We've got another fishing boat over here. Mark's on autopilot. We've had to deactivate the autopilot just while we go around those fishing boats. But it's great visibility. We've got the heating on low, so we're very comfortable in here. It's very quiet, as hopefully you can hear. Just take you back round. You can see a stern shot there. So we're still doing the same speed, 24 knots-ish. And boat seems to be doing fine. You see the fuel rate burn here as well, the burn rate. So we're at around 42, 43. Obviously that won't be completely set, but that's what we're burning. And like I said, our speed is just under 24 knots at the moment. We haven't got any tab on. We've got active trim, or a little bit of bow down. We've got active trim running, so the engines have trimmed themselves to where they feel they need to be optimum position. And you can see here on our time to go to the waypoint, we've got 1 hour 16 minutes, and that's to the waypoint off Portland, which is an interesting place to show you. We'll go around Portland Bill. It's often an area people worry about going round or passing when they're heading west. I think there's not so much to be worried about. Of course, you've got to be careful, but I think realistically, it's more for sailing boats with a tide there. I think motorboat, we're taking the inland passage today.
Just battle through, yeah. For us, it's 300-400 metres up the top side's being uncomfortable, and take it closer and slow it down. Work with the waves, whatever you find when you have the time. But for sailboats, it's a bit more of an issue. I know a lot of people like to go 4 or 5 miles out, but we'll literally go about 30 or 40 metres off and just cut through, which avoids the worst of it usually.
We know that our Sunseeker Southampton office have got a boat actually coming the other way this morning down to Brixham, so we're going to keep a lookout for them on the way up.
And the 29 Axopar.
And the 29, that came down my road though.
Oh, did it?
About the easy life.
No, is
he coming today?
Yeah, he's coming today.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay, so we'll check in with the client who owns the 29 and we'll see if we can intercept him on the way. We've got clear passage in front of us. We do actually go quite a long way offshore here, so at some point we will be in international waters. Yeah. Not quite yet.
About 10 minutes.
About 10 minutes or so. We'll check in there, let you know that we're still alive. Quick update from the cockpit here, as they say. We are now just reduced our speed a little bit to 21 knots-ish, just because that swell was getting a bit annoying, a bit bouncy. So we've knocked the speed down. And we're also just entered into international waters. So we've just entered, for about half an hour or so, international waters where, yeah, we're outside the UK. You can see those triangles there on the plotter. They are AIS targets. So this boat's got an AIS receiver, which is automatic identification system, and that is showing you those targets. So if it wasn't quite so bouncy, I could touch those triangles and it would tell me what boat it is, the size of it, its heading, its speed. So really useful to have that data. See, the weather's still beautiful. I've just checked in with our 29 client who's heading west, and he's just going past Swanage, so we're going to keep a lookout for him as we get towards that direction. You can see here a data screen for the engines running at 3,700 RPM. Temperature's all good, pressure's good, all pressures, coolant pressure. Fuel flow's about well, slightly lower than where we were, and we've got 502 litres remaining. Now that is a digital gauge. So yeah, we'll keep heading over. As we head towards the land, it will start to calm down a bit. We'll keep looking at the wildlife we keep seeing and keep a good lookout for any debris in the water. It's that time of year, we've had a lot of storms, so you need to always be monitoring the water for any logs, any basic rubbish that might be in the water. So it's always good to have two sets of eyes. And of course, we're looking for lobster pots. So the lovely deer fishermen like to leave their lobster pots out here. Crab pots, which sometimes the marks aren't that easy to see, especially with this sort of swell where they drop into the trough. So two sets of eyes, always better than one. We're also monitoring channel 16 on the VHF, that's down there. So we're doing that just to listen for any mayday calls, pan calls, and also if we had an emergency, we're already on the correct channel. So yeah, we've got handheld with us as well for safety, so before anyone says. So stay by, we'll check in again as we head towards Portland. Update from the cockpit, we are approaching Portland Bill. So you can see here on the nav screen, we're approaching Portland, and we've got another Axopar coming towards us. So this is a 29, which is actually heading down to Torquay. So I think we'll probably just slow down a little bit and we'll have a look. Really nice client of ours. He's had a 25 and he's moved up to a 29. So this is a really big trip for him, and he's doing well. He left a similar time to us. So this is pretty much the halfway point. So I just bring the camera around now slightly. You'll see here, I'll try and get out of the wind. I think he's slowing down. Are we slowing down? Yeah, we're slowing down as well. You can see Portland just in the distance, but how cool is this? We've got two Axopars, a 29 and a 37. The 29, they're looking awesome as it's running towards Torquay. And what are the chances of that? Okay. So you can see there, he's running round. We're actually just slow. We had a phone call a minute ago with him, so it's quite nice sometimes on these trips just to slow down a bit. We'll just slow down for a minute, and engine's all looking good, no issues back there. Richard's just coming up. But what the chances? Who would have thought on a 100-mile trip we'd actually get a chance to bump into another Axopar going the other way? And that's going to be based in Torquay for a month or so before it goes to its new berth over on the Dart. If you watch our channel, you'll have seen another 29 arrived at Nos last night as well. So we'll just say hello to Richard. How you doing, Richard? Just had a quick chat with Richard, so we're now going to pick up the speed again. So just take you outside the boats. Now it's calmed down, it's a lot safer. So you can hear those engines, really, really sweet engines, those V8s, awesome amounts of power, just so much torque. Richard's headed now that way. I'll take you back into the cockpit to get out of the wind. And even that door open, that's where these Axopars are so good, because even with the doors open, you're still sheltered from the wind. You can see Portland Bill, we're just heading up towards it now. I keep talking about Portland Bill, but it's such a key navigation sort of point on the south coast. Everybody gets really worried about it, going around Portland, but it's not that bad. And we normally, when we do it, take this inland passage. There is an offshore passage, which is how many miles out, Mark? 4 miles out. But we're normally sort of, 100 metres off. It's fine. So because this is such a wide angle lens, I will break off for a minute, and then as we go around Portland, I'll start up again. So there it is, Portland Lighthouse there. I'll try and get a map here to cut onto the video to show you where this is and why it's such a key navigational mark on the south coast. It's funny how the weather's fine here today, but hardly any weather. It's the calmest bit of the trip so far. There is the race, the true race is out there on our starboard side, and you can see a little bit of a popple on the water, but not a huge amount. But it can get very, very dangerous here in the wrong conditions. Yeah, it's a very, very dangerous part of the coastline if you don't know what you're doing. But looking at Portland, you can see the lighthouse there, which is there for obvious reasons because there's a big bit of rock. There are some cottages and etc. there, and you've also then got a couple of safe havens. So we could go round this headland here and we could go towards Torquay Marina, which is where the sailing events for the Olympics were held back in whatever year UK Olympics were. And then you've also got Weymouth tucked in the corner as well. So from our perspective, moving this boat, we know that if there was an issue, that would be, you know, a point of safe haven for us if we needed to. One of those lobster pots up here I mentioned, I don't know if you can see that, just on our starboard marks, on our starboard side there. We go right close to it just so you can see. So that's a lobster pot, that's what we're looking out for. Especially now we're a bit closer to the coast, there'll be more of those. So we need to keep a really good lookout for those as we're going. Apologies for the abrupt ending of that last bit of film, but the SD card fell up on the GoPro. So we're now approaching, next sort of point to talk about on this journey is the firing ranges. So we've got the Lulworth Cove firing range over on our port side over here. Basically, there is public notices that are on their website. So we've looked at that, we know they are firing today, so we have to maintain a good listen on channel 16. So the firing range will contact you on channel 16 if they need to speak to you. And also there's 3 marker buoys ahead of us which you can't see at the moment, but we need to get to the south of those because that's the extremities of the ranging firing. So we keep to the south of that, which knows that we're not going to bother the military or the MOD. They're not going to have to chase us and tell us to move, which has happened to me in the past a long time ago. But they contact you on channel 16 and they'll come out in a patrol boat and then actually ask you to change your course and head away from the firing range. They're obviously not going to shoot you, but it's just for safety reasons and also that they can carry on with their exercise and we're not causing any hassle for them. So we've managed to pick up the speed a bit now. We're just having a run at 30 odd knots for the moment. We might have to adjust that again in a minute, but it's always good to fluctuate the RPMs of the engines on a long trip like this. A couple of fishing boats out here, there's a little fishing boat out there, and then you've got the east and west cardinal markers out here for the bank that's just the east side of Portland Bill. So yeah, we've got a bit of tide running with us as well, so that's nice. So we're making good headway here. Fuel burn rate just under 50 litres an hour per engine, so it's 100 litres an hour, but we're covering here 30 with the tide, speed over the ground 31 knots, so we're doing well and covering a good distance. Coffee's gone, but we've got some water, and Mark's even brought some sandwiches for us today, so that's nice of him. But we'll keep heading up and we'll check in for the next point of interest. Quick point of reference coming up for you, we've got the most southerly mark here. So I mentioned earlier on about the firing range markers, so just so you can see here, this yellow special feature marker here is the most southerly edge of St Albans ledge. So there's a big ledge, a big shallow area there that extends from the shoreline outwards. I'll try and show that if we can on an overlay, and this is the most southerly mark to basically get round that, but this also acts as the...
So that's where the range borders up.
Yeah, just on the very top here there's a white building, you probably can't see it on this lens, but you can see that yellow buoy there, and that's the range office up there on the hill. So you can see you've got 3 markers, you've got that yellow one there, got another yellow one slightly more inland, and then another yellow one ahead on our port bow. So it's like a triangle, so really that's the place to keep out of the way of. Sea conditions are good, it's actually slightly smoothed off, although there's still an underlying swell, slightly smoothed off. We're just taking it steady at 22, 23 knots. Just been playing with the trim a bit, quite interesting. If you actually trim the engines in, the boat picks up speed. Fuel efficiency of this is actually just below 40 litres an hour. So that's real life figures on this 37 Axopar. And we'll just keep heading now east. We'll go sort of across Bull Bay and we'll head then towards the Needles. So that'll be interesting to show you the Needles, and we'll show you some of the navigation up into the Solent. Hopefully the GoPro lens is not too wide angle, gives you some interest. Mark's just setting a new waypoint here. So by setting a new waypoint, that will give the autopilot a new effectively location to head towards. So you can see here it's turning the boat automatically, getting us onto that effectively channel in the sea that the autopilot is going to keep us on. So regardless of any wind and tide now, the boat will stay on that heading. Also gives us a time to go. So in the bottom right hand corner of that screen you've got a time to go, which is 46 minutes. So we know that's 46 minutes to get to that point. So start planning your journey. We've got to get back to Devon, so we've actually got a taxi for two of us. So financially it works out the same to get a taxi as it does a train. So we've got a taxi at 1:30, so plenty of time. There's no time pressure, but it's always just good to have a rough idea of where we're getting to on timing. And also if there is a problem, then we can plan if we know the timing. So we'll keep heading away, keep chatting away, talking about all the old war stories and seafarer stories, and the boat market, of course. We're always talking about that. So we'll keep chatting away, keep watching. I'll leave you a bit of shot here of the boat going along. Stick the GoPro over the side a minute. Hopefully that's a good shot. I can't quite see because I'm holding the GoPro quite a long way out, but hopefully you can see the spray line. Gives you an idea of the sea conditions here as we go past St Albans Ledge. The sea has flattened down lovely, so we've now got some perfect Axopar conditions. We've managed to pick up the speed a bit, so we're cruising at just under 30 knots. Fuel burn rate hasn't really increased that much, at 45 litres an hour, but our speed over the ground is 28, 29 now, so lovely. Approaching the Isle of Wight, you can see the island just over there. Very quiet out here. We're just commenting that even though the sea is beautiful, surprisingly there's not many more boats out here. What I'm going to do is just take you around the boat. I'll try and hold on to the mic and just show you, even at this speed, how easy it is to navigate around an Axopar. So I've got my life jacket on. Let's head outside. Go up onto the bow now. So okay, we're inside today because the conditions, and we're cruising, but if I wanted to be up here on a summer's day, then you could. It's easy to get round. If I just turn the camera around now, gives you sort of a look back, see Mark in there, the wheelhouse, give us a wave, Mark. I'm going to use my balancing act here, but how cool is this, just being out here on the water, cruising at 30 knots, feeling very safe. Seeing those dolphins earlier was just so cool. Take you back down now towards the engines. See they're purring away back there. So you're at 600 horsepower, just cruising 4,000 RPM, covering a lot of distance at this speed. And you can see how nice it is to be approaching the Isle of Wight. So we're not far from our destination now. See, we've only got a few minutes to run to that waypoint, and then we'll start navigating our way up the Solent. And probably, hopefully, time for a coffee before our lift picks us up to take us back to Devon. And you're doing this tomorrow, right, Mark, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going up to Portsmouth tomorrow on a Rodman 10.5 metre.
So Mark's got to do this whole thing again tomorrow. So, the life of a skipper, eh? On the south coast this time of year. So we'll keep heading towards the Isle of Wight, and we'll show you as we document now going up into the Solent. And hopefully, I'm pretty sure it will carry on being as calm as this now the whole way, carry on this speed, so we'll soon be there. So we're now just approaching the Solent, passing a West Cardinal here. Hopefully you'll see that. There we go. See a bit of tide running on those markers as well. But it's inky calm here. You can actually see the bank over there. You can see how the water changes. Look at the tide on that bank. So it's quite a lot going on here. In Devon we're so used to having just water that you can go pretty much anywhere, whereas up here there's a lot more to take into account, and how the water can change literally within 100 feet. The water can be very different, so you've got to keep your wits about you up here. There's obviously a lot more commercial ship movement as well. You can see the Needles in the distance over there, see the lighthouse on the end, and hopefully then you can just see the Needles if I keep the camera steady. Some sort of ship, survey ship or dive boat there. And then Hurst Castle in the distance. So we'll start our journey now up the Solent, heading towards Southampton water, where we'll then do a right up the Hamble towards Swanwick Marina, where this boat will be berthed for her new owner. And I'm pretty sure the sea state's going to be pretty good from now on in, isn't it, Mark?
Perfect now.
Perfect now. That's it. So we'll make some progress while we've got this, and we'll cut back to you when we get towards Southampton water, unless we see anything really interesting in the meantime. Final destination is coming up. We are just entering Southampton water now, just navigating the channel here. You can see on the plotter we're navigating, there's a lot of tide running against us, but we're still maintaining 30 knots at just over 4,000 RPM. Interestingly, we've actually trimmed the engines right in because that's been giving us better speed over the ground than having the active trim keeping us out the water. But yeah, we're just starting to enter Southampton water literally right now, and then we're going to head towards the Hamble, and we'll head up there to, like I said, towards Swanwick. But I have to say it's been really quite enjoyable. I haven't done a passage on one of these for a while, and to be quite honest, I very rarely go east. I mean, you're coming, like you said, east tomorrow, but normally for me on deliveries for clients it's always heading west, so it's quite nice to do a trip the opposite direction. It was really great seeing Rich on his 29 heading the other way. He should have arrived now, probably already in Torquay, so we'll see that later on when we get back. So we'll carry on with this speed. Obviously we've got to knock off the speed as we enter the Hamble, but the boat's ran really nicely, she's ran really smooth, and it just, I think, goes to show you how capable these 37s are. You know, we've not been cold, we've not been uncomfortable, we've had a good chat the whole way. And on other boats of this size, it's probably unlikely that you would feel this comfortable through the conditions we've been in. The visibility we've also got, as I said earlier on, through these screens is just awesome. So when you are navigating for that period of time, you don't feel, you're not constantly standing up to see marks and pots and things like that. So it's so comfortable, and you can see why people buy these boats. You really can. See the IS targets here. We've had a bit more chatter on the VHF as we've approached for Solent. Obviously busy. We've actually just heard a pan, but it's been dealt with by the Coast Guard. So radar's working there nicely. You can see it's picking up there. A bit more commercial shipping. Got a big Princess there, heading out for the day by the looks of it. Looks like a V53 or something. We just sold one of those recently on our One Marine platform. And then Hamble River, be a bit sad to stop. It's one of those days actually.
Yeah,
I don't really want to slow down really.
Quite enjoyable, really.
It's quite nice to have a day.
This is what I like.
So far we're not there yet, but it's always nice to be at sea. Good for the head, good for the headspace, and it's always sad some ways, these trips. It's always a bit of you like to get to your destination from a safety perspective, but it's always a bit sad when they come to an end. But like I say, we can see the Hamble over there, see all the masts, so that's where we're heading. Bit of swell there from that Princess. If you haven't been on the Hamble before, it never ceases to amaze me just how many boats are here. And we're coming up now Hamble River, and everywhere you look there are thousands of boats, literally new ones, old ones, sailing boats, motorboats, Axopars, all sorts. You see a brand new Princess coming up here in front of us, and you got some slightly older yachts here, smaller yachts, but it's a boating mecca, and I think it's lovely to see. And I'm sure in a couple of months or even weeks, this place is going to be a hive of activity with people being on the water. I've just been having a look around the boat, just making sure we're all good. Silly things like we actually have, it just goes to show you, we've just lost a little catch off the anchor hatch. It's just unwound itself, so we'll have to just nip that up when we get up to the marina. But it's just interesting to see. It's, you know, like I say, there's so much going on here. Big Princess coming up here on our port side, big bit of kit, nice boat. What's that, an S62, very nice, going out for the day. I like that, nice bit of kit, Catalina blue. So yeah, very nice indeed. But you're still using the nav gear, so even though we're not at sea anymore, the nav gear is still very useful when navigating. I mean, Mark and I know where we're going up here, and you've got the navigational markers anyway to help you navigate, but it's always nice to have your plotter on here. We've actually still got our radar running at the moment. We were just testing that, but we'll leave that running for a sec. So yeah, we'll keep going. We've got a bit more to go, a couple more marinas coming up. As I said, there's boats everywhere you go. I can imagine up here in the summer, Mark, it's a bit like the M25.
Oh, that's crazy.
I've never actually been here on a hot Saturday.
You've got to keep your eyes peeled, that's for sure.
It must be pretty hectic at a weekend, but nice to see, and I'm sure everyone on the whole knows what they're doing, so abide by the rules.
That's one you sold.
Is that 485 on the end one of ours, is it? Back in the day, was that, what boat's that called? I can't remember the name of it now. Gosh, around too long. So we'll keep heading up now. I can see the new buildings at Swanwick Marina ahead of us, so that's where we're heading. So we'll get the boat on the berth and we'll give this video a round up then, and hopefully it's been interesting for you guys. But yeah, keep watching, we'll get this tied up in a sec. So here we are, we made it, we're at Swanwick Marina. Mike just jumped on from the cleaning team up here in Southampton, so they're just going to give the boat a quick detail, get rid of any salt marks we've put on her, and the owner's coming down a bit later on. So hopefully this has been really interesting for you to see us moving this Axopar 37 from Torquay Marina this morning. We left it just after 8. We're about to get a lift back, and yeah, it's been a lovely trip, beautiful weather, mixed conditions. We had some chop, we had some flat seas, so yeah, really good trip, and looking forward to getting back down. And lucky owners, I'm sure we're going to have lots of fun on this boat this summer. So thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to put a comment below.